Welcome to the Floor in Order Time Chat. Today I'm joined by Joey Camilleri, founder of Creating Positive Spaces. Joey is deeply passionate about helping people organize their space and lives in a way that actually reflects what matters most. Joey and I actually go way back to when we were both starting our organizing businesses. So this is a fun chat for us to reflect on how we help others and how our businesses complement each other. So in this chat, we're exploring the difference between being busy and being productive, why defining your values changes everything, and how clarity around goals and habits creates the foundation for how you organize both your schedule and your space. So welcome, Joey.
Thank you. I'm excited to be doing this with you.
I know, we've been trying to find a reason to get together, do a time chat.
Yes.
Yeah. So first of all, tell us a bit more about your work and how you see the importance of values showing up in that.
So my work primarily focuses on helping people to organize their space. So that can be their home, their office, garage, whatever it is that they want. And so in terms of sort of where the values element comes into it, I often think that it's great to be organized and know where everything is, but I like to go a little bit deeper into why. Like, what is it that we're trying to achieve? And often when I sort of probe that, often what comes out of that is, I want a little bit, I want more space to be able to do things like craft projects. So it isn't, doing those things that add value to the person's life, or being able to spend more time with the kids rather than spending all their time managing and organizing stuff. Spending more time with kids aligns to values. Does that sort of answer that sort of question? I know it was very brief.
Yeah. And you recently wrote a great blog post about this, which kind of inspired us to have this chat. So maybe we'll start with, what is a value and how did you work out your values, just to give us some foundation?
Yeah, okay, so that's good. So I did a lot of work on values probably back in 2009 and 10. I was working with a psychologist on some stuff, and that led me to reading The Happiness Trap, which was a really great book, and that had some really great chapters on values. And what I took from that in terms of how I sort of interpret that definition of values is it's these sort of overarching sort of frameworks on how you want to live and the type of person you want to be. And, that's sort of my take on what a value is. Sort of like, I guess you can say values, principles, sort of overarching ways that, someone wants to live their life.
Yeah. And it often, and it doesn't change necessarily. These values are like something we carry through life, is my understanding as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's not things that would change. I mean, your values could change over time, but it is this sort of overarching principles that you sort of have throughout life.
Yeah. And so, I suppose, so we're looking at those values and how they inform our space and our schedule. And so that leads us to goals, which is the destination, or like the vision, the value of what you want is that semi-destination, whereas those goals are how you get there. So can you tell us a bit about how do you decide what goals are really important to people?
Yep, good question. So I guess your goals, often will align to your values to an extent. I think the best way to potentially describe that would be with examples. So if, like for me, I value health. I like to be healthy and I want to really thinking about longevity and that sort of thing. So that's sort of my values. And so in terms of a goal, last year I had a goal to do an average of 10,000 steps
Yeah.
day. It was an average. And once that was done, it's done. I still value my health, and will do a lot of things each day throughout my health. But the goal is sort of something that once I achieve it, it's done.
Mm.
Does that sort of answer that question?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So you're still interested in walking and maintaining your health, but that goal was very specific to last year. I'm doing this amount of steps.
Yeah. On the health team, might be to run a marathon.
Yeah.
It's done.
Yeah, very true. Yeah, but your need for movement continues, and why that's important to you continues. Yeah,
And
and I can. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I know you go.
I was just going to say I can spy your dumbbells behind you,
Yes,
illustrating the point that yes, health is important.
absolutely. And I guess sort of onto that point that if you have got these values of health and you're one of those things, that you do want to do some more workouts at home, for example, making sure that the space is set up for that. So for me, I make the time, put it in my calendar, Christy, do some workouts every morning. And that's, allocating the time's great, but you also got to make sure that your environment is easy and supports you to do that. So that's why I keep the weights right near the TV. I do them online and I can easily grab them when I need them. There's no friction. It's easy. And I can just, have easy access to do the workout.
Yeah, and it's obvious, it's easy. There's no having to unpack a million boxes to get them out. So it's really supportive.
Exactly.
Yeah, that habit.
Yeah.
And you're right. We've got the calendar supporting when we're going to do it, planning out when am I going to do this, and then our space needs to make it easy for us to follow through.
Yeah.
Great. And so, what other what's a habit that you do all the time that helps you get things done?
That helps me get things done.
Yeah.
Yes. So Friday mornings are my planning mornings for the week ahead.
Very nice.
So in terms of scheduling, Friday morning is block out an hour, look at what I've got coming up the week ahead, make sure my to-do list aligns to my schedule. Yes, that's a very much an ingrained habit. That Friday morning is that.
Yeah. And does that like say your walking goal or anything, was that something that you would then look at that week and go, when can I make sure I'm fitting in these walks?
Absolutely. So one of the things that are sort of on my to-do list is to sort of always on a Friday morning reconnect with both my business values and my personal values, and making sure that at least some time is scheduled in to do that. So whether the workouts in the morning, meal prepping on a Sunday, walks, wherever I can. I value my friends, so making sure that I've, spend time to connect with friends. So just making sure that my calendar has an alignment to the values and the things that are important to me, rather than just being busy.
Yes, because I hear that a lot. People wishing that they did more of X, Y, and Z, but it's not reflected in the calendar or their space. In your case, that what is important to them isn't in there. So what would be the first step, do you think, that someone could do if they had identified this is really important to me? How do they make it happen?
I think maybe what came to mind when you said that was maybe the first step is to identify what's in the calendar that's not important.
Oh, I like it.
And scrapping it.
Yeah.
And I've been guilty of this as well. Sometimes we get in this trap of doing things because we've always done them, but not necessarily pausing to ask ourselves, why are we doing that?
Yes. Yes. So regularly decluttering our calendar and our space, helps for a lot more breathing room for actually what matters. Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Speaking of calendaring and getting in what you want to do, I was recently reading Laura Vandekamp's book, Tranquility by Tuesday. She had a really good point in there that I'm like, oh, I'm going to really run with that. That was 3 times a week equals a habit, because I think often we fall into like, I need to do this every day for it to be considered a habit or legit. So I liked that reframing of like 3 times is good enough. Like that's fine. Like, and so even just with movement, like having 3 times in your calendar, or 3 times a week that you're able to say, I'm someone who walks, I'm someone who, you know, gets out there. Like, yeah, so you are living your value.
Absolutely. And a few things came to mind when you were sort of talking about that. One, we're human and we're all not, we're definitely not perfect. So there will be times where things get, you know, you might have a day where you miss something, but that doesn't mean we let it go completely. We just pick ourselves up the next day and keep going.
Yeah, that's right.
That's a big one. I think I've seen a lot of people kind of fall into that trap where they've missed one and it's like, oh, just let it go. No, we just pick it up again and keep moving. So
yeah, it's not all over. It's just
no.
it's just life. So yeah, we need to restart.
Yeah.
If you want. Yeah, very good.
And the other thing is not, and I'm also can be guilty of this as well, the all or nothing element. Like I've had times where I've scheduled in a 30-minute walk, but for whatever reason, I've lost a bit of time for whatever reason, and I'm left with 10 minutes. It's still 10 minutes. So, you know, I could still go out there and
better than nothing.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was trying to say. Absolutely.
Yeah, very good. How would someone know, do you think, if a goal is actually theirs and not just something someone told them that they want?
Oh, that's a really good question.
Because I see that a lot. Like, it's keeping up with the Joneses, or, you know, a family heirloom almost. Like, this is something we do. And it kind of goes back to your earlier point about deleting things from our calendar or even just in our space that is no longer relevant to us, or maybe it never was. What do you think?
If somebody came to me and said, oh, I feel like a lot of my goals are someone else's, my next question is, well, you know, you need to take a step back and define your values. And then I would probably say you'd probably need some work there.
Yeah.
Or someone specialized in, whether it is a psychologist. I think they're very deep questions. I think like defining values is a very deep thing. It's at the core of who we are and how we want to live our life, which is limited.
Yeah. And sometimes that trap of falling into busy is to kind of avoid those deeper questions. You know, if I keep busy, if I'm running around in circles, then I don't have time to think about what I could be spending my time actually on. So we're busy rather than productive. So sometimes busy, it does have that element of disguise. What is it actually? Yeah, shielding us from thinking and feeling and actually doing. So you said that you read The Happiness Trap, and it changed your ideas about values and really helped you embed them. So why do you think defining your values changes everything?
I think because it gets you to pause and think about what it is that you want to do with the time that you have on this planet. I guess going back to that other question that you just posed was when somebody else sort of defines someone else's goals, I think this process helped me to define my goals to make sure that I was living a life that mattered to me and not what other people want.
Yes.
And I think it's, I think we're very, we obviously want, I think naturally we always want other people's approval, but the reality of it is we're not. And so that's why I think it's important to make sure that you do live to what matters to you. So making sure that your time and space is aligned to how you want it to be. Because ultimately, no matter what you do, someone is always going to have an opinion.
Yeah.
You might as well create the life that, matters.
Yeah, so true.
Yeah. And I think also just, having read that book, I actually probably never really thought about my values until reading that book. I just you kind of normally are expected to do in life. You go to school, go to uni, get a job, and sort of just repeat these things. Whereas this sort of really stops you to think, well, what are some of the, the fun things I want to be doing in life? What are some of the community-based things that you want to be doing in life? Yeah.
So true. So true. So on that note, how do you decide if something's a yes or a no when it comes your way? Are you going to commit to it? Are you going to add it to the calendar? How do you decide?
That's a good question, because I think, there's such an important, I think there are certain times in life where it's great to say yes, but it's also great to say no. And I think that knowing when to say yes and knowing when to say no, I think is important. And I think, again, it has to tie back to what your values are. Does this activity support, the life that I want to live? And if it does, then yeah, you should be saying yes to that. Or if it's business related, is this something I want my business to go, the direction I want my business to go in? And, if there's an opportunity, say yes. So for example, if your goal is to do more presentations, and someone says, hey, come and present, you should be making time for that. If it's not your goal to be a presenter, then it's okay to say no to that.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
It does.
Would you?
Sorry?
No, go on.
Oh, you're reminding me of my holistic organizing life audit, which is my spin on the wheel of life concept. And sometimes if something comes my way and I'm unsure, what am I doing here? Is it a yes or a no? It's useful to look at like how many slices of life it supports. Like, a walk with a friend in a new area. It's fun, it's movement, it's socializing. So it's like 3 wins in one. And to your point about the presentation, it's like it's business development, so like career and finance. It's personal development, pushing myself to get on stage. And depending where it is, if it's not online, then I'm seeing somewhere new, which I love to do. So yeah, it's a good tool to kind of go through, is this lining up with all values of my life, like across different areas, to help you decide, is it a yes or is it a no?
I really like that. Sort of, how many does it tick? What did you use? Slices?
Yeah, like, because if you imagine a wheel, and then it's divided up into like 8 slices of life, so the departments of life. And so yeah, like health, career, community, socializing, home environment, physical environment. I'm leaving one off. Personal development. And just like, how is this activity supporting one of these areas? If someone's feeling really out of balance, I suppose, like even with values, like I'm not sure what those are, even just having a bird's eye view of what makes up a life can kind of help someone go, oh, you're right, I didn't realize I need to see friends 3 times a month at least, or like I want to read 20 books a year, or that kind of thing can help.
Yeah, and I think just in terms of like the slices, they're very similar to in the book. They use the term value domains. I think it's about 10. And it's very similar to those slices, like health, community, and that sort of thing. So I really like that sort of thing when something does pop up. How many of those sort of values is it ticking off for you? As a benchmark to saying yes or no.
Yeah, because in the last year, as you know, I've moved out a little further, and so sometimes to battle inertia of getting on a train and going somewhere, I'm like, oh well, this is supporting my exploration of a new area, and then I'm socializing, and then it's fun, and I'm walking to the train, so that's movement. So I'm like, oh, we're ticking goals here. Like, this is fun.
Yes, that's a really great way to think about that. Like, how many is it ticking off?
Thank you. Tell me about, in your work, how you help people simplify their space so that they can do their habits more easily.
The main thing that came to mind when you asked that question is my goal is to really reduce friction when it comes to doing something that is a habit. So I try to look at, if there's something you want to do on a daily basis, how many steps does it take for you to get to that point? And what's in the way? So I'm just trying to think of an example. So ultimately, I think to be successful in achieving a habit, it's got to be easy. And so the more obstacles that are in someone's way to doing that habit, the harder it's going to be. So I try to look at how many steps. So from an organizing perspective, I'm just trying to give a bit more of a concrete example here. Let's just say you wanted to do morning stretches. You want to stretch every morning, but your mat is hidden behind a cupboard. My question is, can we eliminate the step of opening a door? So even something as small as a door can be a blocker to a habit, to doing something. Even though it might seem like it's just a door, for a lot of people, a door or a lid can be a blocker from accessing something. So can we eliminate that and just make it easy? You know, is the mat stored in the location you're going to do these stretches in? And if it's a no, then we need it to get it into that location. Chances are you're not going to do it. Does that sort of answer that question?
Yeah. I like removing friction. So anywhere where, and I think it's important for people to observe themselves when they are reaching for something or have an idea. What are the questions what are the objections that your mind brings up? Like, oh, I gotta X, Y, and Z, or like, even if you're opening that cupboard and you're like, this is annoying. Like, it's not just a thought, it's information as to how you can remove that friction. So be mindful of those thoughts as to what pops up, because it's gems as to how to make your life easier.
Yeah, exactly. So, like if someone's got, they want to hop on the treadmill, but it's constantly covered with clothes, then we made it difficult for ourselves. Or even something, actually, this sort of pops into my head, even if it's a habit of just wanting to keep the house tidy. And and I saw this recently, where all the linen in a home was piling up, and I thought, okay, it hasn't made it into the cupboard. And the reason why it hadn't made it into the cupboard is because there was a lot of stuff in front of the cupboard door. So we've made it difficult. So we want to eliminate those sort of things that make everyday habits hard.
Definitely. And from that example, I really like how it demonstrates the ripple effect of, it's not putting the linen away that was the problem. It was what was in front of the door to the linen cupboard. And so that ripple effect of that blockage then affects that, which then maybe if it was related to the treadmill, it affects your movement. Like, so
Yeah.
it's really interesting to follow the threads as to what is the friction.
And on the other note, though, if you've got a habit you want to break, then you want to, like a bad habit, you want to create more friction.
Yes, make it
So
unattractive.
So if you're trying to give up vaping or something, put your vapes in a really, really difficult spot.
Yes, so true. So true.
And that could be a way.
Yes. Yeah. I was having a week where I was like just throwing back these chocolates, and I said to my partner, "Can you just hide these from me?" And it helped my brain just like release the the need for it, because I was like, well, I don't know where it is.
Yeah, it's not there. Yeah, exactly. That is such a big one. I mean, that's one of the reasons why I don't buy a lot of junk food.
Yeah. If it's in the house, you'll eat it.
If it's in the house, I'll eat it. And I can't, and I'm not very good with, I'll just have one a day. Like if it's a biscuit, I'll just be like, I'm going to smash them all out. So
yeah, if that packet is open.
If it's open, it needs to be finished. So hence, I don't purchase any sort of foods that don't really align with my values. I do give myself a treat, but it's planned and it's a little bit more structured. But
oh, I like that. And is that, does it tick off other yeah, it's intentional, and does it tick off other slices of life, like socializing and things like that?
Socializing, me time to recharge and that sort of thing. So, you know, so definitely give myself permission to indulge, but like I said, it's intentional. And
yeah. Oh, I love that. Yeah. Yes, intentional. And I think that is with planning, it's looking at your weeks. And as I said earlier about that 3 times a week as a habit, it's okay for things to move around. Just be intentional with it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for this conversation, Joey. It's been great to talk about values and habits and how they relate to how we live our life and how our space reflects the life that we live as well. So check out Joey's blog post about this topic, and if you're in need of support with organizing your home, you can get in contact with him. I highly recommend.
Thank you. This has been fun.
Oh, good.